Okay. I've got this all ready to show you on take two how to trace an outline of these paper pieces that we've made from the duct tape form. Here you can see that this was cut, laid flat with books. You can see another video that demonstrates basically how I used paper clips to cut the outline. If you're feeling really coordinated, you can give this a try straight onto paper from the tape using the same method I'm about to show. So this is the tape piece. That is the paper that I cut out. And as you can see, they're quite similar and have the same markings. So I'm going to set this aside with its companions. I'm also going to show you here that I just did number 4. And that fits right on there, so you can get the basic idea of what we're doing here is just tracing it down. You could use the tape. It does require more coordination in order to do so. So first, I'm giving this a bit more than an inch from its neighbor, and while holding it flat, placing vertical pins on either corner at the base. Now, making sure that it's flush with the other piece of paper is important to avoid warping and distortion, because that will definitely change the shape of your pattern, and that the idea here is to get it exactly the same, since it's so exact to your form from the tape outline. So starting with the 2 at the bottom, holding it flat, coming up at about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, 2 more pins, and the whole way on up. Now this is definitely going to take a minute, and actually the pins are the most time-consuming part. So I'm just holding this flat, adjusting as needed, and ensuring that there's no twists, turns, bends, puckers in the paper as I go. You can see my nifty little pin cushion here. It's actually made out of a rolled pipe insulation with just some fabric around it. I got tired of having to hunt out the pin cushion. This is really easy to find. Alright, so it's gone the whole way up. And I'm going to take my orange pen and just very roughly outline the entire shape. This can be a very wide edge as you trace. You can hold it with the other hand if you so choose. You can re-go over it if you miss and kind of bow out from the edge. And the reason that all of this, there's so much room for error, so much forgiveness in the tracing, is because the edge that lies against the paper is the edge that is exact. So if you come up over on top and like make a big line across your top piece of paper, that's fine. If you make a line going that way, that's fine. You're just going to count on the edge that has been touching the edge of the paper the whole way around, and that's the side that's really going to count for everything in the pattern. Once this is lifted up, it'll give you the edge that is going to hug your shape when you cut things off. Ooh, pin. So now I'm just pulling all of the pins out and freeing this top piece of paper from the layers. Now you'll notice I'm just sticking these pins in vertically, and the reason that that's possible is because I am on top of a piece of high pile carpeting. It simply goes straight down into the carpeting, into through both layers of paper, and it doesn't do any damage. I keep forgetting one. So here we're going to do this again, except now I'm going to grab the tape measure and lay it at 1 inch and match up the tip corresponding to where I measured from, and just pin that down. Here I'm going to take the furthest edge out rather than the point, because the point actually moves because now you're on an axis. I'm going to smooth this down flat so that we have a good idea of how this is going to lay. Pin that down as well. I've got an extra pin here. I find this doesn't need as many pins because it's not as exact to the shape. It's more of a issue of leaving enough space to have fabric that folds in, that you can sew on, and perhaps even use to hold boning, depending on everything that you're planning on doing with your pattern and your construction of your corset. So, that's the outside line, and I'm going to do this a couple more times. I don't know if you can actually hear the Monty Python episode 4 in the background, but if you hear some bizarre sound effects, that is what that is. Good old John Cleese. So, I'm going to do all the edges, top, bottom, right, left. I don't think it matters what order, but I had been going with the longer sides first. Mostly just to get them out of the way, I suppose. So again, top point, farthest point, that actually, you can see now when I laid that flat, it actually scooched it out almost as much of an eighth of an inch, half an inch there when I laid it flat. So I'm going to do that again, sliding it along. That's much better. So, and take this right along with the pins and trace yet again. Top and bottom are all that's left, and then we're going to do some basic marking. From the top, we're going to go up an inch. Pin that down. Check the inch on the other side. There we go. Trace that. I'm enjoying the Fruit Loop smell from my pen. It really does smell like them. And the same at the bottom. That only requires 2 pins because it's such a short distance. The pins are, in fact, the most time-consuming bit. Oh, it's the first introduction of the 16-ton weight. Alright, so, one thing that I did not do on the first laying of it was mark the waistline. So I'm going to line this back up and put a hash on either side of where this waist is marked. Lift it, write the number 5 because that's the piece number that this is. Grab my other marker and use it as a straight edge. And this straight edge is going to help me indicate the exact waistline. So there you have hash marks. Writing side A because that's more helpful than left and right, because it will depend, left-right will depend on whether you're going to be using the right or the inside side of the fabric. It just doesn't translate well. So I'm bringing that point up, bringing this point out, and just squaring things off. This does not have to be exact at this point because these edges will get folded in to corners and probably need trimmed anyways. So here you have, it lines right up. I'm going to write seam to 6 on this side and seam to 5 on this side. And we have one complete piece that simply needs to be cut out. And I only have 2 more pieces to go. This is getting very close. Wonderful. That's it for this tutorial. Thank you. Bye.